Welcome back everyone to another Company of Heroes 2 replay cast, and this time it is going to be a 2v2 as you can see on Crossing in the Woods. It is going to be sent in by Cape97, the famous glorious noob, for Stalin. Okay, comrades. OKW, another OKW Zizwen, of course it's double OKW. And on the enemy team we have Fire and Terror with the meme script, and Pit Machine of Death, who is praising glorious comrade Stalin. So yes, let's just jump into this. Well, we have Cube Wagon coming through for Cape97, the glorious noob, and it's pretty clear what he wants to do. He wants to troll everyone with this thing because, of course, it's crossing in the woods, so pretty easy to just get a lot of kills with the machine gun on this thing. Pretty easy to jump around and get the capping of course, the strategic point over here, the cutoff. And right now it seems like his ally is going to be forcing away these poor re-echelon troops, but these riflemen can probably just, pop some shots at the Sturm Pioneers and force them into the building, and then, well, probably they're going to have to retreat because, as you can see, medium range riflemen doing quite well. However, there's a second Cube Wagon, so the Cube Wagon going to get some flanking fire in on these riflemen. Probably this is going to make them think twice about their life choices. The problem is, if they turn around and get behind the Cube Wagon, oh, there's another Cube Wagon. So yet more Cube Wagons are, coming through to meme the Americans to death. Well, I'm thinking that this right side is going to go to the Cube Wagons right away. The problem is the second Rifleman squad. So if this Rifleman squad can surprise these Cubles, and that's going to go to the Americans. If not, it's going to go to the OKW. On the left side, Cape97 is, of course, capturing a few points. He's trying to just get as much map control as possible, of course. And right now, he's going to have his Cube Wagon getting shot at by the machine gun. So that's not good, of course, for his Sturm piles, which are in the way. And they're going to take some suppression to the face, of course, because they were shooting at the Cube Wagon. And yeah, that's going to allow these conscripts to push up and get some good capping off. Of course, that's also going to be covering the machine gun. There's, however, quite a lot of Volksgrenadiers on the right flank of the machine gun, so it's going to have to be kind of careful. In the front, we have the Cube Wagon, and then the Volksgrenadiers are pushing up all the way to the base. They got a few shots on those riflemen that are retreating, but they're not going to be able to cap the point as another rifleman squad has been produced and is now off the base. On the south, it seems like Fire and Terror is very, very much pushing up and terrorizing his opponent. This one has been pushed back all the way to the base, but he does have a Sturm Pioneer squad all ready to repair the Cubles. So he's going to be able to come back and have, a couple of units ready to go and fight. Of course, Cape97 is going to try to continue his flank with his Volksgrenadiers. The problem is, well, at this point, it's not really clear if he can do too much with these guys. He's going to take a few shots at those conscripts with the conscripts. They're going to try to, yep, I was about to say, it looks like they want to throw Molotov cocktail, but they didn't have the tech research. So I was thinking that he was bluffing the Molotov to try to make Cape97 retreat out of the building, but it turns out he was just upgrading it. So at this point, he has to retreat, but of course we have Volksgrenadiers along with the Cube Wagon support pushing up, and the flank being covered by the Volksgrenadiers from, of course, the conscripts flank. And this is not going to be looking good for the Allies. They're going to lose the cutoff point. They're going to have, this entire German army group in the area, and of course the units that are retreating for them are in a bit of a pickle as they're retreating through German fire, and that's not, of course, quite good for them. However, as soon as they retreat, they're going to be able to reinforce from base, and then they're going to come back in and hopefully push back this German push. The left-hand side is still under the control of the Maxim machine gun, and in general, the points belong to the Allies. The right side is being recaptured right now by Zeiswen, but other than that, the Allies haven't really lost too much. I mean, I've just heard that the Soviet guy lost one unit, but I have no idea which kind of unit. And yeah, right now, the riflemen are just going to be pushing through the, open cover and just force away all these Volksgrenadiers, pushing them back to the base. Of course, the Germans, the longer that they kind of just skirmish away and hold on, getting one fuel point at a time, etc., the better it is going to be for them. What they don't want to do really is to get overwhelmed across the map and have their points being captured all over, which is not what's happening right now. We have a lieutenant on the field for Fire and Fury, or whatever his name, Fire and Terror, sorry. Got confused with Donald Trump. Yeah, Fire and Terror does have the Lieutenant. I'm not entirely sure that this is a good decision, because Zeisswin and Cape 97, that is 2 OKWs, so it's kind of likely that we're going to see a Luke's. And with the Lieutenant, I mean, what are you going to do against the Luke's? You're going to die. So, I don't know. If he gets some AT in the meantime, it's going to be good. If not, which is likely, then, you know, it's going to be bad. And right now, he's using the Lieutenant well, pushing away these lovely Storm Pioneers with the Panther Shreks before they can destroy the fighting position, but they managed to destroy the fighting position, and the Panther Shrek guy is still alive, gets away. However, Bar Guy gets into the building and tries to get a last burning burst of ammunition into his face, but it doesn't work, and so of course he's gonna escape back to base. That's the kill on the little fighting position. That's pretty good because it was in a very annoying position. Next time, Zeisswin and Cape 97 are going to be pushing on the right side. Hopefully, it's going to be going a little bit better for them. We have an ambulance coming through for Fire and Terror. He could just honestly be using the medics at the base for the Soviets. They're not only, you know, cheaper because you don't have to pay anything for them. They're also probably, you know, a little bit nicer people than the heavy truck driver. Because this guy's probably like a redneck, whereas, you know, fucking Natalia Zvyashchenaya from Leningrad, probably a lot better. Anyway, yeah, we have a bit of a push coming through in the center for the conscripts, and we have guards. So guards, that means guards rifle combined arms. That is a KV-1 doctrine. Of course, just been reworked with the KV-1, but I still don't like the KV-1, so I don't really think that this is that great of an idea. The problem is, for the Axis, there's these conscript assault tactics that can be very, very nasty with the Papasha submachine guns, and the ML-20 howitzer is also very, very, very awesome in the late game. That's going to be able to shred through, especially the OKW buildings are going to be very, very in danger to it. You can just kind of, especially on a map like Crossing in the Woods, you can just kind of place it either here or something like here, just kind of hidden in the back. It's going to have the range to basically hit the entire map because it's a very small one. And so that kind of an investment in terms of allied, you know, late game potential is very, very good. But they're going to need to survive the early game to do that, and that's not really happening with all these incendiary grenades just flying about. This is going to be a lot of munitions expended by the Axis on those incendiary grenades, but they still have enough to upgrade some of these units to, you know, STG-44s, and they still, of course, have their cube wagons in support. Where the heck are this guy's cube wagons? They have over here one, and of course the Luke's is coming out, as I predicted. Probably just saw the Lieutenant and thought to himself, hey, I should probably just go for tier 3 and get a Luke's. Cape 97 is being a noob, but he is going for a flak half-track, so he does, of course, have battle group headquarters. Of course, he can also go for the infrared, he can also go for some support guns, but he decided to go first for the flak, because he does have quite a lot of fuel, and he has decided that if he were to ever go for a flak half-track, the time would be now. He, of course, decided that the time is now. He wants that extra bit of defense against enemy infantry attacks, and of course there is a lot of infantry on the side of the Allied forces. So, of course, this is not that bad of an idea, and right now he's also going to be able to use this flak half-track to protect the left-hand side of the map, and then later on in the map, this guy could go down, but probably will not. Later on in the match, if the flak half-track actually survives, you know, the many ordeals that it is likely to have, then it's going to be useful as an anti-air tool. You know, the Allies might just have some kind of planes coming in. Speaking of planes, we have a paradrop coming in. That's, of course, Recon Support Company being picked by Fire and Terror. Quite evil choice because of the support paradrop group. That's why he went for the Lieutenant, of course, because you can get an ICT gun from, of course, the paradrop, and he's going to be able to recruit that with the rear echelon troops, of course. He's got also the paratroopers that can be upgraded with both bazookas and the M1919s. M1919 coming through, so he's definitely confident that his anti-tank gun is going to be able to deal with any and all German vehicles. One anti-tank gun against all of those cube wagons and the STKFZ flak half-track might not be enough, to be completely honest, but we'll see what the Soviet guy does. He's doing, yeah, he's doing a T-70. I would have gone with the Su-76 after seeing both the flak half-track and the Lukes. Again, a little bit of a lack of anti-tank from the Allies. Kind of inexplicable, although they are going with the, you know, Bun vehicle, trying to get some PTRSs down on the flak half-track. That is, of course, quite effective. The problem is, with the Lukes being around, it's not really going to be all that easy for the Allies to continue doing that, because what if you bun one vehicle, the other one's going to come in and ruin your day. Right now, the Lukes is just tearing through the Allied infantry on the right side. There's a triple cap going for the Germans. It's just not going well. There's the M8 Greyhound already on the field at 10 minutes. This thing requires 5 CPs, so that's why it's usually pretty late in the coming. But when it does come, it's got the glorious canister shot, so it's pretty effective against enemy infantry. It's got the same weapons as the Stuart, essentially, with, you know, 37mm main gun and the 50 caliber machine gun, and that is going to help, along with the anti-tank gun and bazookas. So, in fact, he did change the upgrade from the M1919s to the bazookas and taken down the Lukes. Very well done. Excellent. However, the M8 takes a Panzerfaust for its troubles, and it's probably going to go down to this Rakenerwerfer. If I was the M8, I would have stopped upgrading the pinto-mounted 50 caliber machine gun, because that would have, of course, refunded my munitions just in case this thing goes down, which is kind of likely. But the Rakenerwerfer does not chase through. The Panzerfaust comes in, and it's not enough, of course, because it's a Panzerfaust, so it doesn't really do all that much damage. And it's gonna, well, go all up in smoke for the Axis. So they're gonna lose that engagement. On the left side, we have, of course, the T-70. T-70 also takes a Panzerfaust. And it's gonna get hit by some, oh no, actually the conscripts are gonna get hit by some 75mm love from the support gun. Right now, STKFC is gonna be defending the center quite easily. However, the right side has been captured by the, well, rather neutralized by the riflemen. Riflemen, they're going to be supported by a nice sort of semi-flank by these other riflemen and the lieutenant. Here comes more riflemen, so that's 3 riflemen squads all committed in the action. There is an MG42 on the field for Zeisswin, but it's not going to really be able to do all that much. Nice flank grenade, actually going to force the lieutenant out and into the line of fire of the machine gun. But it's still not going to be enough to defend this whole right side from the Allied advances. In the center, the Maxim just kind of pulling its weight and suppressing everybody and their mothers. So that is pretty good, of course. However, the problem still seems to be the left, like extreme left for Put-Put. He just can't seem to really get a grasp on that point. Especially the fuel point has been captured by KP97, and he has been keeping that very, very close and under his control. So that's very, very good for him, of course. Right now, Put-Put Machine of Death does have a lot of resources in the bag, so I wonder what he might be going for. He's going to destroy the Cube Wagon for KP97. The right side seems like it's going to be another push for the Germans, so a little bit of a back and forth. That's going to go back to Zeisswin. And Zeisswin is also floating a little bit of resources, and he does have a Wehrmacht Schlepper. I think that's supposed to be SWS. And he's going to go for a, you know, whatever that thing is called, Schwerpanzer quarters. Which, I mean, wait, where is he going? Is he trying to set it up to the left-hand side? I think he's gonna set it up over here. Interesting choice. I'm not sure I agree, considering, you know, like, this doesn't really do all that much for the Germans. But hey, to each their own. Looks like we're gonna have some cluster bombs. Of course, this is the new ability for the recon support. Quite expensive at 110, I believe. Yeah, 110. But it can be very, very effective if you actually cash the enemy with it, which is not always gonna happen. It's absolutely devastating to hit OKW trucks with it, because of course, if they're running into the battle group, then they can't really run at any time. It's time to run. It's time to hide. Break on through to the other side. I don't know why this song just came to me, but yeah, if you just get it on the trucks, it's just, you know, destruction. Anyway, 2 support guns for Capen because he has to be a dick. I believe that is the only choice, the only real reason he went for the 2 support guns. He's already got the flak half-track, so he's got quite a bit of anti-infantry. He of course wants more support against like static play that the Allies might want to go for. Of course, the guy with the guards and the machine gun, and now he's going for an anti-tank gun as well. can be prone to that kind of playstyle, and the support gun is going to be extremely effective against that. Unfortunately, it seems like, ooh, actually hit the dirt has been popped by the guards. Kind of reminds me of Vikinger with the guys laying down, but yeah, they're actually doing quite well with the hit the dirt and the heavy cover. The problem is they're taking support gun fire, so they're gonna have to retreat eventually. On the right side, it seems like the allies are just pushing up mercilessly, so Fire and Terror really bringing in the terrorism on Zeisswin, and he's gonna be able to pretty much just send him packing all the way to the base, although he doesn't really have any fire, which is a shame, because not only it would be better for his name, because it would be easier for him to deal with all of these scattered German units. However, his Greyhound is really being helpful with that, not only by just being scary with the canister shot, but also because of the pintle-mounted machine gun. It's just very, very useful, it seems, along with the coaxial machine gun, just making it very, very effective against enemy ground troops. Are almost up to V2, so that is always very, very good to see if you are a vehicle crew. And yeah, overall, it just seems like things might be going pretty well for the Allies, considering the kind of situation they were in just a few minutes ago. We have some Pathfinders coming through. The only problem I can see for the Allies, at least for the Americans, is that they have so many infantry units, which may not be the best choice of all time. Because, I mean, look at this. This is 3 rifleman squads, 1 Pathfinder, 1 paratrooper. Although, to be completely fair, this is an anti-tank paratrooper. And then the lieutenant, then re-echelon troops, machine gun, and anti-tank gun. That is 71 pop cap being used up by infantry squads. As you can see, that is bringing down his manpower income to 194 due to all of the upkeep. So he's going to be bleeding a lot of manpower. He's going to have less manpower income to replace that manpower that he's going to be bleeding. So it's not going to be as easy for him to enter the late game in a position to actually use his fuel. So that's not the best for him, and looks like he's gonna, make amends by losing his Pathfinders, and they survive. Lucky. Anyway, we have some kind of artillery coming through. This might be major artillery. I mean, I don't see... What else could that be? Oh, IR Pathfinder. Right, that was IR Pathfinders. The IR Pathfinders are very, very effective against enemy buildings, at least if they didn't nerf them. But not really the best against enemy mobile targets, because those things don't really like to fall quickly onto the area where we call them in. They do eventually fall and do a lot of damage. They just take their time, so you need to be kind of careful with it. And of course, right now we have the massive allied assemblement in the center. It's not really, going to be doing all that much until it pushes up, but the Greyhound is still kind of scary. Of course, right now it's being scared away itself by the Sturm Pioneer Mechanism Panzerfaust with Volksgrenadiers combo, which is of course quite good, because the last thing that these German troops want to, have as an experience is canister shot in the face, which is definitely what would happen if all those deterrents were into place. So well played by Zeisswin, getting those, little units. And right now we have a massive help in dealing with the infantry. That is the Sherman. However, it's 18 minutes in the game, so the Germans are likely to go with something a little bit heavier than Shermans right about now. And Captain 97 does have tier 4. Schwer Panzer headquarters also for Zeisswin. So Zeisswin is going for actually a Stuka, so that does mean that he went... oh no, right, he was the guy with the Lukes. How did he lose the Lukes exactly? Oh yeah, right, the right side paratroopers. Still, it's interesting that he canceled the Stuka. Okay, so what will they go for? Well, a Panzer IV for the glorious Captain 97, and that's pretty fine. I mean, considering that there's a Sherman on the field, the Panzer IV is going to be quite useful against that. The Prinz IV is also going to be very useful against enemy infantry. And Panzer IV is, of course, going to be useful against T-70 light tank. If an enemy artillery piece ends up coming on the field, the Panzer IV could possibly be useful at flanking and taking that thing out. I was more thinking of the Katyusha, which would be more vulnerable, but the ML-20 is always pretty, a pretty good target. And with the Panzer IV, it's pretty easy to come in and get some shots on the gun itself and destroy it. So if it's played well, then that would be pretty good. And this guy is probably screwed. Pop the smoke and escape. Misses the attack round shot, and so most likely that flak is gonna escape. And what the heck, that is a lot of infantry. Why are all these units from Zeisswin on the left-hand side? That's probably because he does not want to get destroyed on the right side anymore. So he's bringing his stuff to the left-hand side. Eats a butterfly bombs just in response. The problem is the Panzer IV is around. So of course the Germans dodge the butterfly bombs. The P4 can deal with any one of these units that are around here single-handedly, but the combination of them is going to be pretty hard for the Panzer IV to figure out because of the T-34-76 being a pretty good damage soaker, considering its, you know, price to HP ratio. Because you get more HP than the Panzer IV for what you, or sorry, not the Panzer IV, than the Sherman, the M4, for considering what you pay for the T-34-76. Of course, the Sherman, I believe, has more HP overall. And then the Sherman doesn't have really the best anti-armor capabilities, but it's okay. It can penetrate the Panzer IV after a while. And then this thing has the ram, so it needs to be kind of careful. Of course, it is an OKW Panzer IV, and so it has armor on its side, definitely pretty good. Somehow the side skirts giving it some frontal armor bonuses, but that's just Company of Heroes logic, so hey, whatever. We'll just deal with it. And at this point, let's just kind of take stock of the whole situation. So 264 to 358 in terms of VPs. That means that the Allies are ahead by just about 100. There is, in terms of teching, a slight advantage to the Allies temporarily. We have T-34-76s, Su-85s, artillery pieces, Shermans, Jacksons. So that is quite a lot of late game units. They also have some pretty good vetted up infantry squads, whereas the Germans, we have actually an LAFH artillery piece that has just been built up. That's of course trying to counter battery the Allied artillery, but it's so inaccurate it's actually falling into the base and dealing with the American infantry there. So that's, I guess, close but still cigar. And other than that, though, we have two Obersoldaten that are still in the process of vetting up. And that's kind of about it for Zeisswin. Capo 97, the Glorious, he does have the Sturm Tiger available. He's gone Elite Armored, and he's got a P4. He's got a lot of decently vetted up Volksgrenadiers, but that's not really going to be enough to deal with the Riflemen. So he's probably waiting for the Sturm Tiger. He doesn't have enough fuel nor enough manpower, but eventually he's gonna get there, and the Sturm Tiger will be very, very effective on a map like Crossing in the Woods. You can just kind of place it, park it behind some trees, shoot the rocket over the trees as something else is spawning the enemy units, and they're never gonna know what's hitting them. First, it can also deal with enemy anti-tank guns that are also annoying on this map. It can deal with enemy machine guns as well. It can help out in dealing with the infantry blobs, of course, and it can one-shot the Greyhounds, so it can probably even one-shot the Shermans. I'm not sure about the Jacksons after the buff. Probably cannot one-shot them, but we will definitely do a lot of damage. So the Allies are going to need to be careful once the Sturm Tiger hits the field, and I'm thinking that that would be the best corrosive action for KP-97, the Glorious Noob. Zeisswin, well, Zeisswin, what can he go for? He's going for a P4. I feel like for him, the best choice after that LEFH might have been to upgrade the battle group headquarters and then go for the King Tiger, because his ally was clearly going for some medium armor with the Panzer IV. You have, you know, spent a lot of manpower on getting that artillery piece up, and then you go for a Panzer IV. So an anti-infantry medium armor unit with sort of mid-game characteristics. I would have waited for the big heavy tank, because the Allies, clearly they're, you know, stocking up on good stuff. So probably the Germans are going to need to do that as well. Looks like the MLA-20 crew was destroyed, and so the gun has been recruited by rookies. However, the gun is still around. And at this point with, you know, oh, that's a lot of German infantry. This could be potentially pretty dangerous. We have some Sturmovik attacks coming through. The Germans are pretty lucky that they don't really have to face any Katyusha, because if they were on the field, then that would not be good for them. Also, possible kamikaze attack into... okay, good. So it looks like the Volksgrenadiers will survive the kamikaze attack from the L2 Sturmovix. Getting shot down, of course, by these two Schwer Panzer quarters. And yeah, the Papashaws are just going to be blazing away at the German infantry and forcing them away. Well, kind of allowing the Allies to have a little bit of a better control over the center at this point. As I was about to say earlier before I was so rudely interrupted by these guys, like, fighting. You know, how dare you fight in a, you know, World War II strategy game. They do have a pretty substantial armored contingent. Pretty good late game units, with Sherman being able to defend against the infantry, as you can see. And, of course, the Jackson being the guarantee that enemy tanks are not going to be annoying. And what this is going to be very useful for, especially with the Su-85 and its focus site, is going to be destroying these Schwer Panzer quarters, because once the Schwer Panzer quarters gets kind of spotted, everyone's going to open up. However, the Sherman comes in a little bit too eager and a little bit too far and gets destroyed by both the Panzer IVs and the Raketenwerfers. So that was a very, very good little kill. However, these tank destroyers are still around for the Allies, and we have a Vet-2 T-70 that could be using its recon mode to help spot for them. Also, the American infantry is pushing through and trying to get some damage off on the Schwer Panzer. That is probably a bad idea, considering that they're running straight into the suppression. And right now, it seems like the Su-85 might go down as well, as it's kind of charging in a little bit too close, so it needs to be careful, very, very careful. At this point, a second ML-20 is going up for Put Machine of Death. Not really sure about this, you know, this purchase, and yes, I am sure about this one, though. Here comes the Big Papa Sturmtiger. Looks like it's going to fire. It's probably going to miss, but hit actually a conscript squad, so that's the first wipe of the game. Probably the first of many. Also kills a bit of the machine gun crew. It was probably aiming better for the guards, but hey, it's still a very good first shot, of course. Sturmtiger being the massive derp lord that can just kind of troll you into submission and destroy all your blobs. Oh my god. Oh god. Now oh no, I hate this unit so much. And I don't think it makes any sense right about now. I just don't think it does. There's so much ML-20 firepower on the Allied side. This is not going to be looking... Yeah, it's already destroyed the LEFH. And, ooh, very, very close to actually damaging the Sturm by splash damage, which, when it is reloading, can just kind of knock out the crew. So you're going to have to recrew it, which is kind of annoying. And yeah, it looks like this tank destroyer line that the Allies have set up is doing okay. The problem is there's a lot of Raketenwerfers on the German side. There's a lot of also just kind of versatile infantry that can come in and do some spotting. So as long as the Allies can keep this tank destroyer line / machine gun line safe, they're going to be doing fine. Looks like they're losing some infantry, and here comes the Sturm. Not even getting repaired. This is actually pretty dangerous. It does absolutely whack the machine gun. However, it is taking a lot of damage, of course, from all of this anti-tank that's in the rear. Lucky motherfucker does not get bunned by the guards, because if it had been bunned by the guards, most likely would have been its end. You need to be kind of careful with the Sturmtiger. It's very well armored. It's got some good, well, relatively well armored. It's got some good HP to it, especially. It's very fat. Ooh, nice flank coming in from these Jacksons. But the problem with it is that it's, of course, extremely slow and very big target. So it's not like Allied tanks are going to be missing it anytime soon. Looks like there was a veteran C5 Raketenwerfer, which is insane. But that's not enough to deal with the Jacks. And the Panzer IV comes in and finishes it off. Amazing. However, it was a Jackson for a Panzer IV trade. Now, considering the buff to the PE, really? Okay, too much company fears one. Despite the buff to the OKW Panzer IV, in terms of its cost, it's now 140 instead of 150. I still think that the loss of a Jackson, which is about the same in terms of in terms of fuel, but I believe less expensive when it comes to manpower, is it? Actually, no, the P4 is less expensive now. So in terms of resources, the P4 is slightly less expensive, actually making it, even in terms of resources, an unfavorable trade. However, you know, not by a lot. I'm sorry. I'm just coughing up a storm, but... And I've got a little bit of hiccups. But that was pretty funny. It almost got destroyed by the plane he shot down. Anyway, yeah, what I was saying is that, of course, if you lose the... Did that just hit a little, like, tiny tree? I think it just hit, like, literally one tiny tree. And that blocked the shot, because I think that shot was aimed, like, over here. Anyway, losing the Jackson compared to losing the Panzer IV is worse, because the Panzer IV is a more versatile, anti-sort-of-everything kind of jack-of-all-trades mid-game unit, whereas the Jackson is a late-game specialized tank destroyer that is kind of heavily reliant on getting a lot of veterancy on soft, munchy targets like Panzer IVs before it actually gets to fight, you know, big, giant, massive tigers. At that point, it kind of needs the extra veterancy, otherwise it's not really going to be all that effective against them. And so, building up that firing line of veteran Jacksons is a little bit more important than building up the veterancy on the Panzer IV, and that's why losing the Jackson in a one-on-one trade against the P4 may not be the best thing ever. Of course, always subject to circumstances. Context is everything in Company of Heroes, as always, and... Well, it seems like the Allies, in terms of this context, they're still winning. So the one-on-one might have been worth it for them just to slow down the Germans. However, there is the massive Sturm Tiger. It's gonna come in and do its thing. So Troll Tiger gonna be quite effective against all of this. The problem is, you know, there's the Jackson in here, so it's probably gonna just back off a slight bit, just kind of let other vehicles take the brunt of the damage, just kind of let them do the work and then come in when least expected and, you know, drop a whole hot, sticky rocket on the enemy. Right now, as you can see, this blob from Zeisswen, these blob tactics are really not working out at all because he just kind of comes in, gets fucked, and that was amazing. So there goes the Su-85 with the splash damage. Just kind of, yeah, I was about to say, Zeisswen comes in with his massive infantry, gets kind of plastered by, like, HE rounds of this howitzer mortar carriage, gets plastered by... Did that T-70 just kind of explode on its own? Most likely it was just on out of control from earlier. And then, you know, the T-34-76 joins the fray, and that does have quite a bit of splash damage. So, of course, the infantry is getting pushed back pretty much every time, and K-97, the Glorious Blobber, is also doing pretty much the same, although to a little bit of a lesser degree. So it's kind of understandable that despite the fact that the Germans are starting to really do well on the trading and the bleeding of Allied forces, they're still losing when it comes to VPs. As you can see, 147 against 322 as one of K-97's Glorious Volksgrenadiers go down. Jeez. Well, I mean, I don't like howitzer mortar carriages either, so... yeah, though, that's kind of the thing. You need to be careful with these howitzer mortar carriages. Right now, it seems like the artillery for the Allies, the ML-20s, are just kind of pounding away. We have a lot of craters on the German side, but other than, you know, making this whole area into a little bit of a lunar landscape, it's not really doing all that much. It's got 14 kills, and, well, the veterancy really isn't indicative of the whole usefulness of these artillery pieces because they've been decrewed a fair bit, and so probably the veterancy would be a little bit higher than what it's showing. Looks like there goes the Obersoldaten from M8 Greyhound, which is still alive, almost up to vet free. Probably should get the crew out and get the crew into one of the howitzer mortar carriages just to give them a little bit of an extra edge. Looks like the Panzer IV is going to come into the right side, just kind of destroy the machine gun crew. However, there's a veteran C2 Jackson flanking it. Yes, a Jackson flanking. What kind of a world is this? Well, it's Company of Heroes. Looks like we are gonna have the canister shot finally being used. Yeah, of course. Jackson used the canister shot. No, that's the only... This was the only time in this entire game that we could have seen the canister shot. Okay, here comes the canister shot, and it misses. Sigh. So, good cooperation of the Jackson, of course, with something else, because that Panzer IV died pretty quickly. Emma Greyhound, after firing its first and now only attempt at a canister shot in the entire game, dies ignominiously to the Volksgrenadiers and, of course, the Riffer. Looks like we are going to have a absolutely devastating Sturmtiger round, absolutely destroying. Looks like a engineer squad, maybe a conscript squad. Yeah, I'm thinking so. So getting a couple more wipes, just kind of casually. 33 kills, reloading like a boss, with no allied units protecting him, you know, except the Riffer. And if one howitzer mortar carriage round hits this thing, then Caper 97 is gonna rage because he's got it up to Vet 2. So getting it decrewed right about now would be slightly amusing for us, slightly annoying for Caper 97. And yes, the Allies are still winning when it comes to VPs, although the right side has been decapped by, you know, the Axis. At this point, however, the Allies can just kind of recapture it at will. The problem is they're really starting to lose a lot of infantry to that Sturm. The Sturm is up to, well, even more kills, 34, so it's gotten 1 kill. No, wait, what? It's gotten 1 kill with the it's got 1 kill with the machine gun. Okay, so I thought that he just kind of fired a bit of a wasted round, but no, it turns out it was pretty fine. Looks like he's getting flanked by paratroopers, and that just kind of telegraphs a mile away that there's the Jackson coming, and so the Sturmtiger is like, nah, and gets out. Well, the Sturmtiger is still very, very, very potentially dangerous thing. Of course, another thing that's gonna tell Caper 97 where the Jackson is the signal relay. As you can see, he knows that there's things around here, so he knows not to kind of bring in the Sturmtiger without a good reason to do so. Caper 97 has gone for a Panther, and Zeisswin is going for the King Tiger. So that is kind of what I would have, would have hoped for them. And looks like one of the howitzers has actually gone down, which is a big, big win for the Axis. Yeah, there goes the guards from the Sturm. The Sturm is just winning on his own. He's carrying, at this point, he needs a back lotion because his back is hurting from carrying all his teammates to victory at this point. Oh, look, we have a guy coming out to apply the back lotion. Looks like that's the little bottle for the product. And now he's, you know, he's massaging the back of the Sturmtiger. Now we have another Tiger, the Königstiger coming in, and that's, yeah, the Allies I don't think have any counters to it, except there's a not a Jackson, an Su-85 still around. Yeah, I think there's an Su-85 still around, and there's the Jackson almost up to Vet 3. But that's, how the heck have the Allies not gotten out any new armor? Okay, so we have a Jackson, and this guy, Machine of Death, has been bled by the Sturmtiger, so he does not have any new armor. Yeah, that of course means that he has 250 fuel. Oops. So not exactly the best possible, not exactly the best possible situation to be in if you're an allied player. And he's still going for these conscripts, which, yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, yeah, they did buff them, but... And of course, you do have the Papashas with Guards Rifle Combined Arms Tactics. Yeah, that's 5 words. And that's why you don't do that. Because it's worthless against the Tigers. Oh boy, so the Allies still lose more. Oh damn, this would be a good rocket. The Allies still losing more, more troops without really a good reason to, because of the Sturmtiger. They're just kind of letting the Sturmtiger take easy shots. You can at least make your life difficult for the Sturmtiger, you know, by moving your units around. And looks like the veterancy-free Jackson is in trouble, and it's dead. Destroyed by the Vet 5 cannon for the Allies are throwing away everything they have, every kind of advantage they had. A bit of a superior infantry force, you know, with good veterancy, and they kind of let it die to Sturm Tigers. The Vet Free Jackson died. The Rakenwerfers, the little mortar carriages are dying. Looks like the Axis infantry is pushing along and spotting for the KT and the Panther, which destroy the second Jackson. This anti-tank gun is still firing against the KT, which is gonna go down. I mean, looks like some Pathfinder artillery is gonna be the killer, and that's very good, of course. But Zeissman already has 100 fuel, so if you can get a little bit of harassment to the right side, get some fuel, you know, coverage. He's gonna have the new KT in like what? It's 200 and something. I believe it's 290 now because it got quote unquote buffed. I believe. I don't really remember the cost of the KT anymore because they changed the cost every single patch. Yeah, so whatever. Just about 10 minutes and you can get a new KT. And once he does that, then they're boned. Although, considering the Axis are down to 73 VPs, and everyone's fighting over one VP while ignoring the other two. So what the Allies could do is try to send something to the left-hand side to just get a little bit of harassment going to the left. Just kind of distracting the Germans, maybe bringing down 1 or 2 VPs by just kind of neutralizing it and making it a 1-0-0. Whereas the Axis could be doing the same on the right-hand side, so it's very, very much, in fact, considering this machine gun's positioning, it's, it's a very, very much on the ropes, and, yeah, both sides can do pretty well. Both sides can also kind of crash and burn, though. Just kind of needs some kind of mistake to happen from one side or the other. I'm guessing it's over here. Yes, it is. Luckily, though, these 2 riflemen don't die to the rocket, which was, in my view, it was close enough to kill them, but hey, whatever. I'm sure they're not complaining. There's some kind of Fink falling down. It's Pathfinder artillery, or maybe major artillery, and it killed Allied units. So, yeah. Finally, the right side getting captured by the Germans. Actually, the 50 caliber machine gun being repurposed by these Sturm Pioneers very cleverly to shoot down these riflemen as they're trying to counterattack. So that's a very, very well done little capture by Zeisswen, because now he's going to be able to defend with the 50 caliber machine gun as well as attack with the Sturm Pios. So at this point, it does not look good for the Allies. They're about to lose the 3rd VP, and the triple cap would be real. Triple cap would bring down the Allies in about 6 minutes, so they need to be very, very careful about the whole proceedings. However, the Sturm Tiger, gets a nice hit on the Su-85 and is now going to have to get the hell out of Dodge. 45 kills on this thing. It's absolutely a monstrous little unit. Looks like this first, not LEFH, ML-20 is still alive, although the LEFH may not be alive for much longer. It's at half HP on the gun and a little bit less on the crew. So definitely that veterancy is going to go down soon enough. Looks like the right side is going to be captured by the Americans once again, thanks to the support of this M8 howitzer mortar carriage that's just kind of plowing away at the at the Axis units that are, of course, trying to harass the right side. But yeah, it's going to go back to the Americans. Well played by Fire and Terror, just keeping control of the right side. And again, that's kind of the usefulness of flanking and getting those nice harassments. You need to be very careful about just not getting harassed, especially when your VPs are in a situation like this. So you're gonna... There goes the T-3476. Once again, another piecemeal pickup by the Germans. The Germans are literally using the, like, crisp tactic. They're picking up 1 crisp at a time and eating that. And it's working out that well for them, that they're really not getting all that many big engagements where they win, but they're still bleeding out the Allies, so that is very good for them. And at this point, yeah, more tank destroyers, more and more tank destroyers. That is a good idea from the Allies, of course, especially considering that Zeisswen is going for a 2nd KT, and they probably know it. So that is good. The problem is they need to be very careful about these Rakenwerfers that have been basically destroying and assassinating all of their armor units. That is not good. And again, they need to be trying to harass the left-hand side more. Although the Germans, it seems like they have kind of put in a little bit of a unit blocking force just to be safe in case they want to come in. So they're definitely very, very much afraid of getting their own left-hand side harassed by the allies. In the center, we have a nice sort of arrangement for the Germans. There's just a lot of fodder infantry that comes in, caps, helps out the Reckenwerfers with vision, but especially soaks up shots and helps up with vision with the Sturmtiger. Although they don't know that there's these guys cloaked in, and they're providing some very good line of sight. Sturmtiger comes back in. At this point, looks like they have finally realized what is happening, and the Sturmtiger is going to get vet free off of the MG42 in the hull. But now the Sturmtiger needs to be repaired. After it does, it's just not going to be good for the Allied players because they're going to be in a pretty bad spot. For now, it's going to stay in the defensive. Just kind of move up, probably pop around at these guys, and yep. Is this like the 8th wipe that the Sturmtiger gets? I mean, maybe not the 8th wipe, but the Sturmtiger plus the Reckenwerfers have wiped out at least 8 squads of infantry, and they did destroy like 3 units of armor, right? Because the Sturmtiger destroyed the Su-85, so that's on that count. Then 1 Jackson and 1 M8A1 and 1 T-34-76 went down to the Reckenwerfers. So yes, that is pretty much a pretty correct count. And this looks like Caper 97 had so much time that he could go for a lovely Panzer IV, Yak Panzer IV. Yeah, this is going to be very effective against the enemy tank destroyers because the Yak Panzer IV just, it's very annoying. It's hard to hit. It can go with the Coloc at Veteran C1, I believe. Yes, it does. So it's just very annoying to deal with. And we have a Katyusha on the field for Put, clearly kind of worried about the fact that his regular artillery piece has taken fire, and he wants a little bit of extra anti-blob, actual engagement-worthy artillery. Not just artillery taking fire at the base. First salvo kind of misses. Gets a couple of kills, but it's not enough. And right now it seems like we have a bit of a flanking attempt by these Übersoldaten, but the machine gun's here, so if the machine gun can set up and fire at the Übersoldaten are gonna get fucked. The 50 cal decides to shoot at the cube wagon. And so the Obersoldaten are going to be able to just kind of run into the right side and cap it. Although, this guy could try to run them over. It does not run them over. What it could have also done is, well, it should have still run them over regardless, but then it could have popped the vehicle crew out. That's something that's always hilarious to do. The enemy never really expects your vehicle crew to ever come out. In fact, they kind of forget that they exist. And they don't expect that these guys have... sorry, I just smacked my microphone. What they especially don't expect is the fact that these guys have grease guns. So they're actually relatively dangerous at close range. Massive pyrotechnics show from the cluster bombs. Doesn't really get all that many kills. It was pretty, you know, unfortunate this entire game how many whiffs these butterfly bombs did. We're almost just on the point of destroying a lot of units, just a fair amount of time, but it never really came to that glorious like mega wipe of a few units. Right now the situation in terms of VPs is still under the control of the Allies. They have managed to recapture the center, and the right side of course is gonna go to them once again. So they're gonna maintain their advantage, and the Germans are down to 73. The problem is there's the second KT on the field, and there's not really much that can counter it except some Su-85s and the Jacksons. Now you might be saying, of course, yes, that is actually pretty good counters to it. Well, the problem seems to be the fact that, you know, he's very, very much focused on these kinds of units, and the Sturmtiger and the Jagdpanzer, and of course the Panther that can do some flanking maneuvers. They can all be pretty effective against this kind of defensive armor playstyle that the Allies are going for, seemingly. So they're going to need to be very careful not to get their stuff wiped by a single blast of the 380mm. The problem for the Axis still seems to be the repair, funnily enough. They're not able to repair their vehicles nearly fast enough to get them back into the fight as quickly as they would want. As a result, they're sending in their units at half HP or, you know, near numbers. So That is, of course, not the best, because you'd rather have your guys be at full HP. Cape 97 is gonna lose his Panther if he's not careful. Also, we have the howitzer coming through and trying to get some, you know, killing. Penetrated from the front with the T-34. Interesting. Vet 3 S-85 in trouble now. Yeah, max range K-pen from the T-34 76 into a Panther. Yeah, that was pretty damn lucky for the Allies. However, what's about to not be lucky for them and not be lucky for the Germans is the Sturmtiger, because, you know, there's no luck in this thing. It just deletes everything it hits in the radius. So there's literally no luck involved. And that's the 60th kill. So that is more than 1 kill a minute for this glorious unit. And right now it seems like we have a bit of a Katyusha barrage that is amazing. Did quite a bit of damage. Might get actually a wipe on the Veteran C5. Along with the support of the ML20, it does get the wipe. So that is pretty worth it for the Katyusha. However, the Katyusha is still kind of a waste of resources in a way. Now, not really entirely, it's still useful, but I think that a few T-34 76s might have been more useful for Put-Put. Because at this point, he's really lacking in terms of versatility. His army is relatively just kind of focused on throw everything in the center, hope it works. Those are the 2 steps of the very, very complicated strategic plan that he has drafted up over many months of planning and analyzing. So really, that is giving him a little bit. Why did he just gain veterancy? He didn't get a kill. He didn't hit any enemy units. He didn't get any kills. He was at 60 before. He's at 60 now, but he got a star of veterancy. How? Oh, probably just a machine gun shooting at enemy people. All right. I'm not sure why I didn't think of that. Oh, this is dangerous. M81. M81. Retreat. All right, they're lucky. Yeah, center getting. Is that the Pathfinder artillery again? No, that was not the Pathfinder artillery. That was a Zeroing artillery. Okay, that explains why it was so closely hitting the Allies. And we have a double cap for the Germans, about to be a triple cap if this King Tiger does not die, if some German infantry actually comes in and helps the King Tiger, which has been a bit of a mistake of Zeisswin. He's probably going to lose the King Tiger, although this is not looking good for these Allied tank destroyers. They're in a very precarious spot. They could get flanked around by 2 Jagdpanzers. That is just absolutely haram. So, yeah. 2 Jagdpanzers, not really able to chase through, but able to definitely defend the center. However, there's a Veteran C2 Jagdpanzer. So at this point, the Veteran C2 Jagdpanzer is just gonna troll the Veteran C3 S-85. Doesn't matter that you're higher veterancy and you're about the same, you know, expense for a vehicle. I'm just superior because I'm the Jagdpanzer and I've got stealth. This thing is still around. And more conscripts. He's got 400 fuel. Of course, this time he's actually retreating. So KP-97 is like, herder, I'm gonna shoot at him, because the last like 17 times he didn't retreat. This time he did retreat when, you know, he didn't have any veteran units and they're just vanilla conscripts. However, it seems like the Axis are still doing quite well, despite the fact that the Americans have captured the right side and are holding it. It seems like the Soviet player is really faltering and is probably going to crash and burn soon enough. I mean, there's just so many things coming through. It looks like the lovely Volksgrenadier is going to go down, although it's spotting these Jacksons. For some reason, this Jagdpanzer 470 is charging in. I mean, the reason wasn't to kill the ambulance. He didn't even kill the ambulance. It was to kill the Katyusha, because the Jagdpanzer can one-shot the Katyusha. And the second Jagdpanzer escapes with a sliver of health with Veterans Free. He does not want to lose that thing. He does have, like, the grenade. I've always found this grenade worthless, so he's going to need to be very careful. And see, the thing about this grenade that pisses me off also, by the way, the Germans are going to lose if they're not careful because they're at 40 VPs. That would mean like what, 120 seconds, so 2 minutes of double cap that they can sustain, or rather single cap that they can sustain. So it needs to be kind of quick. 2 minutes, clock is ticking. Anyway, gonna talk about my worthless things. Like, this grenade launcher, the thing that pisses me off is that the icon shows a white, like, explosion. So what I always think whenever I see that is like, oh, look, I'm gonna pop smoke, right? And I think that that's a smoke grenade. And whenever I just throw it and, you know, the ability shoots off and it explodes into a fragmentation and it, you know, doesn't do anything because it didn't aim it at an enemy, I get pissed off because I was thinking it was a smoke grenade. I was thinking it could help me out to deal with, you know, lovely, like, just Jackson shooting at me or something. This thing is at vet 5 and 44 kills. That thing, quote unquote, is the flak half trick. Another wipe for the Sturm Tiger. 64 kills with this thing. Insane. Anyway, right side gonna get not captured by the Volksgrenadiers, just barely the rifleman pulling through. M8 Greyhound is on the right. M8 Greyhound. Okay. So M8 Greyhound, of course, trying to be an anti-harassment unit. Gets Panzerfausted, not good, but anti-harassment Greyhound is going to be useful. The problem for the Allies is going to be, can they hold the center? My answer is no, because the Jagdpanzers, once they're repaired, and then, you know, the flak half trick plus the Sturm Tiger, it's just way too much. And the constant just kind of blobbing from Zeiss when eventually it's pulling its weight, considering the entirety of the Allied blobs have been destroyed by the Sturm Tiger. There's not really any opposition to them. I mean, they're going to take damage from all of this, but... So there's 25 points. There goes part of a machine gun. I believe he was actually aiming at the T-34. That's just kind of unfortunate for him. He also could have tried a shot at the howitzer mortar carriages, are relatively close, but these things really like to move, so probably not a good idea. Another Greyhound. I wonder why. Anyway, they're going to recapture the center, although there's some Obersoldaten coming through. Come and get into the cap circle. Get into the cap circle so they don't cap, so they don't finish the cap. Please get into the cap circle. Oh my god, what the fuck. They really need to get into the cap circle, otherwise they're going to cap the point. Oh no. I could have avoided them a heck of a lot of points lost. They're already losing 1 point. 2 points. Yeah, you cannot really afford to lose 2 points when you have 25 VPs left. And Cape 97 is just in desperation pushing in the Sturm Tiger. He manages to kill the machine gun, eats a lot of damage from these Jacksons in return, tries to use his firing line of glorious Jagdpanzers to do something back. It does do quite a bit. It's almost destroyed the first Jackson. It does. The first Jagdpanzer is still alive. The German tank destroyers managed to escape away with safety, and the Allied ones are in trouble. Looks like some Volksgrenadiers are going to try to push in and get some kills. A third KT is on the field now for Zeisswin, and this is going to be probably the thing that pushes it all on, you know, the Germans are winning realm. Although 10 points left, I wonder if these Volksgrenadiers are enough to actually capture this point, because there's these 2 howitzer mortar carriages. For some reason, those other Volksgrenadiers decided to retreat a little bit early, in my opinion. They should have just stayed and tried to at least neutralize the point at the cost of their lives. Well played by KP97, doing the, you know, Volksgrenadier dance and managing to avoid those shells coming through from the howitzer mortar carriages. And now he can, of course, just kind of pick away at them with the Jagdpanzer, which is on up to Veterancy 5. So Veterancy 5 Jagdpanzer with elite armor, it is actually very dangerous because of the heat shells. So much more dangerous even than normal. Heat shells plus ambush shot plus just whatever the fuck kind of bonuses it gets from veterancy. That's not good for the Allies. And here comes the massive conscripts. Of course, Sturm Tiger decides, hey, I might as well just come in and wipe out one of these guys. It does. Veterancy 5 Sturm Tiger, 77 kills. Very, very close to dying, though, so it needs to be repaired. And it needs to be very careful because you do not want to lose that thing. Jagdpanzer 4 just kind of casually strolling around on the right side. I'm not sure what it's trying to do. It's trying to kill the Greyhound for some reason. Not sure why we want to do that. But in the center, it just seems like everything is going down for the Allies. We only have one Su-85 left. The Jackson has gone down to the fire of the Jagdpanzer, most likely. Looks like everything else is pretty much dead. We only have the 2 howitzer mortar carriages and the Su-85 left. So the Allies need to be very careful about this. We have the central point being captured by Zeisswin. So with his, you know, the glorious Terminators with the LMGs, he's probably going to be able to deal with any enemy infantry. We have some Sturmovik attacks coming through. I see no Pathfinder artillery, but I'm guessing that it's going to fall. No, it's not, because we don't have enough munitions. Another wipe from the Sturmtiger. This time it was, I believe, a Soviet unit, or maybe, I don't know. I think it was a Soviet unit. Still did a lot of damage. 78 kills. Right side. Seems like the Greyhound is dead, but the crew got out, at least. And there's this veterancy-free Jagdpanzer IV that's just going to be very, very hard to deal with, especially for this Su-85, unless the, you know, Jagdpanzer fails to micro. And we have another push in the center. 8 points are left for Germans, but they managed to get the guys in there just in time. This is exactly what I was talking about that they should have done earlier. This is exactly how annoying it is for the enemy, especially considering that those smoke grenades in place to hide their own units. Looks like here comes the Sturmtiger. Wipes out the rear echelons. And in the meantime, this Jagdpanzer has been picking away. It looks like it has destroyed the T-34-76 that was variant up to Veterancy 2. And it's now working on those howitzer mortar carriages and the Su-85. Of course, the first howitzer mortar carriage wanders into the 88mm gun of the King Tiger, so that's not going to be good for him. Yeah, it was trying to come into the cap circle to unload the guys, unload the vehicle crew, and try to get the last cap off. But unfortunately for the Allies, it just didn't work, and now the Germans have control over the center. Right side being captured by some guy, probably a Volkstrainer squad, yes indeed. And this is most likely the end for the Allies with triple cap on the field. We have 49 plus, that's 120 V pop cap for the Axis and 70 pop cap for the Allies. So even more of a pop cap advantage. Looks like the triple cap is going to be around fire and terror quits, and that's probably going to be the surrender. 50 kills on the ML-20. Although most of those kills are likely just, you know, like repair dudes from the repair station or something. And there goes another wipe from the Sturmtiger, up to 90 kills. One by one, the Sturmtiger has killed everybody. Amazing game. Well, if you want something in depth for like why these guys lost, what they should have done, you should not be watching games I cast at midnight. But just to be quick, definitely put machine to death, going way too hard on those conscripts. 540 fuel at the end is never a good sight. I mean, even considering that the Soviets are relatively bleed prone sometimes, like, you just should have vehicles. Should be using that fuel, should be just a little bit more proactive with all of that. Zeisswin needs to be supporting his KTs with like units. The Germans in general probably should have gone with 2 Sturmpiles each, because their vehicles were always very, very low, especially considering they were engaged in the kind of line of fire warfare with Jacksons and SUs that can really leave your tanks a little bit wounded. Although the Germans eventually managed to win with their glorious Jagdpanzers, and of course it was a stalemate over the center, so the Sturmtiger was, of course, I just said of course like 7 times. So the Sturmtiger was very, very strong in here, and then both sides, yeah, both sides. I was almost about to say, except the Germans a little bit, but yeah, both sides need to be working on their harassment skills, blah, blah, all of that. I don't care. So I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you soon. Thanks to, you know, K-Penetrated 97 for sending the replay. It was pretty good. You know, okay Sturmtiger. I've seen better. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Have a nice one.